Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us here on the Infinite Prosperity Podcast. My name is Louisa and I help high achievers, entrepreneurs and coaches lift the lid on life and business so that they can live at their highest value. Each episode we will bring you our favourite founders, CEOs and guest experts to share with you their insights and strategies to expand your wealth consciousness, your spiritual leadership and aligned business strategies. We know that living in alignment with your soul's mission is what fulfills you, and we are here to show you how to achieve this in an energetically aligned way. If you haven't already, be sure to claim your free abundance activation in the Akashic Records. Go to louisahavers.com/gift to unlock your abundance activation today. And if you'd like my support in having aligned success in life and business, then contact me at www.louisahavers.com and let's explore together if it's an aligned match. Get ready to live at your highest value and to expand into your next level of money as you elevate and receive more. You create more for others. Righty ho, let's dive into today's episode. So welcome everybody. Welcome back to our episode this week. I'm so excited and honored to have a very special guest with us. We have Leilani Lucero. Welcome, Leilani.
Thank you, Louisa. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you, and I cannot wait to dive in. So, listen up, everybody. Leilani is very special. Leilani is a mystic, an Akashic Records practitioner, an energy healer, a medium, and a coach. She guides others to heal, see their raw truth, claim their power, and find the inspiration and clarity that they need to create divinely guided magical possibilities in life. Yes. And at her core, Leilani believes that in aligning with our higher selves, we can heal and make better choices that lead to an extraordinary magical life. A huge welcome.
Thank you. Yes. So much there, but it's all true.
Well, I'm so excited to dive into our conversation. And one of the things that I have just started doing, because this is the Infinite Prosperity Podcast, is to ask our guests to share their reflections on what prosperity means. So I'd love to hear your take. What does prosperity mean to you?
Yeah, prosperity, it's so funny because it can be such a triggering word for a lot of people, right? There's things behind it that need to be cleared to come at it from a really open perspective, but that's what I feel prosperity is. It's open, receptive flow. So being in that open, receptive flow allows abundance in all forms, not just money, in all forms to come through. So yeah, prosperity, open, receptive flow to allow the goodness in.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I agree. It isn't just about money. Often we do think it is about money, but it is about all those aspects. Oh, alrighty. So I'd love to know. I know your journey. You've got an incredible journey. But do share with everybody. How did you start your business? What made you start your business?
Yeah, well, like most people, right? We're all kind of recovering from from living that 9 to 5 organizational, working for the man fatigue, right? Being in that space. And I was in tech recruiting for over 15 years. My last position was head of talent acquisition for a startup in New York, based in New York. And I worked for large Fortune 500 companies and smaller startups on must-watch lists, right? So I knew the gamut of what it takes to really, what to pay attention to, how to build teams, how to scale an organization, what to watch out for. Um, and I left because of the toxicity, the old systems and paradigms of patriarchal bullshit, and it was a really hard leave. I was ready. And I was kind of pushed. I've been asking spirit for a very long time to get me out of it, but I was held by the money, the fear around leaving what that tech money gave me and provided for me. And so there was a push, and I took that. I took that and I worked it to my advantage. And it took me a couple years to actually recover from that and to heal from that kind of environment. And I had already held certification in coaching. I'd already been working with people. People are my specialty. I love working with people. I've been so um, not just enamored, but curious about the human experience and helping serve people in some way. And so, yeah, just having that, but realizing that it wasn't just about coaching, but I couldn't really quite put my finger on what that was. And when the Akashic Records so divinely fell into my lap, it was like, oh yeah, this is it. Here we go.
I love it. And what a difference from tech world to Akashic Records.
Oh, so much.
Would that old version of you have recognized that this was the path that you would follow, or does it feel like a reinvention?
It's interesting. It actually feels like a coming back too.
Mm.
Right. So when I think about the younger version of me that was so idealistic and so hopeful for wanting something that felt oftentimes too big for me based on my own upbringing and my own wounds, it felt too big to like help heal the world, in the way in which I wanted to. And so you just kind of learn to make yourself small. But after tech recruiting, I'm like, maybe I need to go to nonprofit because again, I want to serve. I don't know what that looks like, how that looks like. I had um, also when I was younger, I wanted to be a therapist, right? There was like different roads that led me to different ways in which they could have transpired, but it just was not ever really right. And so this was a coming home, an opening, and it was very immediate, like, okay, we're changing everything up, the words are in, the dialogue's in, here we are, this is how I feel, let's go. And it was very,
Oh,
and then from there it's been a bit of a journey of the reinvention piece that you speak of. Like, how do I look at this from now a business perspective when my old mind, my old paradigm is in caught up in this matrix of wanting to say no to everything that's around that. But I also learned so much. There was so much skill there that I could utilize in this. So yeah, it's being able to marry the two.
oh, yeah, it's the straddling or navigating the dualities of the two, isn't it? Of
Right.
being able to move forward. I One of the things that we were talking about just before we opened up the recording, and I just think would really resonate for our listeners, because our listeners are very spiritual. Many of our listeners have either trained with me with the Akashic Records or had readings with me with the Akashic Records as well. And so I know that they will really value your perspective on all your incredible experiences, your personal life experiences, your work with the Akashic Records, how it's impacted you and your clients. And you mentioned something that you were seeing that was coming through recently around with the work you're doing with mediumship, which I would love for you to speak to, because it's not something I've heard other people talking about. So I think people would
Mm.
really value your insight around mediumship from people who haven't passed over yet.
Yes, this is such an interesting topic. And I think I haven't quite really been able to articulate it until more recently because it's been coming up so predominantly with my clients. And what Louise is mentioning is that so when and mediumship is a separate gift to the records, but because I have access to the records, it amplifies what is available, which is amazing. So oftentimes when I open the records for a client, there's a guide or a loved one's past that has come through. But also when I'm in a session, if they have like a parent, for example, that may be experiencing dementia, Alzheimer's, or there's a loved one that's close to them that might have like another mental health issue, like being bipolar or schizophrenic, these people, and what we know more to be true is that these people are actually living other timelines in this human experience, but they're unable to really be in one full timeline, even though we know that they're happening all at the same time.
Yeah.
They're actually toggling between the two. and it's hard for them to be in this like human existence while toggling between the two or more that are happening. So when I tap in and I'm able to connect with this loved one, there's messages coming through and there's information coming through, even though this person hasn't passed, and it's incredible because I can also, in addition to that, tap into, like, if I were to do a reading, let's say for your son, and there's something that your higher self needed him to know while I'm connecting with him, your higher self might come through to me and give me this message to relay to your son. So that happens too. But just please know that mediumship is just like the Akashic records, like all of this stuff within the metaphysical world is limitless, it's boundless. So there's so much more to tap into here.
It's so exciting when you were talking about that earlier, which is why I was like, we have to talk about this on the show, because from experience, in my previous life, in this lifetime, when I was working for social services, one of the things I led on, this was, gosh, 20 years ago, I was leading on mental health units for older people who had dementia and Alzheimer's and schizophrenic, and we had a secure unit that one of the units I managed was a secure unit that I was the kind of, at that point, the sort of frontline manager for that unit, and really recognizing the trauma that people have from witnessing their loved ones having left because they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
And then these moments of lucidity that people have when they are at different phases of dementia, but they can kind of come back into the room and then they realize that they've not been there. And it's really, really scary, um,
Yeah.
for them and for their loved ones, because they then don't know when they're going to go again. Those moments of what we would experience in this plane as moments of lucidity, recognizing who they are and who the other person is, and then suddenly they're gone again. And so I just feel it must be so comforting for people to be able to have these connections when what they're seeing has, perhaps in the relationship, the person's already left.
You know what's interesting too? Yes, it provides so much comfort, but always what comes through from the person who I'm connecting with, tapping into, who is between the timelines, who does have, that thing, right? That we are perceiving to be this thing in this human term. Um, they're so clear. There's a clarity of like, um, the essence of who they are is so clear, and the messages come through so clear, and what we as humans are experiencing is like, oh, they must be in so much pain, this is so hard for them to move through, because really we don't really quite know how to approach it sometimes, how to be with it and what they need and what is required. So oftentimes it's like just this holding in a bigger vibration of love, knowing that they are loved, that they are seen, that is just enough for them, because oftentimes they are going between worlds. They are, it's a disruption to their physical self, and that's why sometimes they're feeling lucid, oftentimes they're elsewhere, and so bringing them back with gentleness and love, knowing that, okay, we can ground in this experience in this time, is super important. But please know that when I tap in, they are so clear, there is an understanding, a deeper understanding that they hold that we are not even aware of. And they are so divinely connected that there's an understanding too of not just their fate, right? But also this wanting to come back to in that way.
Mm.
This being reintroduced in that way. And so while it feels a little jarring for us to experience, just hold it with as much love as you can, because that's what they need.
Mm. Yeah, so true. Wise words, wise words. You mentioned that, the difference in terms of mediumship and Akashic Records, and I know that you have many clients coming to you for your work with the Akashic Records as well. How has your work with the Akashic Records, impacted your clients?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me and for most people, like most of us that get into the work of serving, it's because we really had to do deep work within ourselves. We've stepped up to with courage to look within ourselves, like the deep recesses of our heart, to stay open so that we can love others the way in which we found ourselves to be loved within ourselves, right? And so for me, it's important when I connect with people that, okay, are they real? Are they true? Where are they coming from? What place are they coming from? Like, what is their level of consciousness? How have they experienced this human life? I've had many, many lows, many difficult times in this life, but I'm realizing that the people that I love serving, the people that I am inspired by, are the people that are so courageous and say yes to themselves over and over and over again. And when I do this deep work within the Akashic Records, the level of commitment and honoring self that comes through time and time again, it's healing for the client, but it's also as a witness, so incredible.
Mm.
It's so incredible because there's nothing more intimate than to be able to see into someone's records. Truly.
Absolutely. Yeah, truly. It's like reading someone's soul diary.
Right, right. And stuff that they're not even always aware of because it's higher level consciousness. So, yeah, the fact that I've done such deep work myself, that I have tried all the different modalities and resources available, from coaching to therapy to everything in between, in a way that has broken me open time and time and time again, allows me to not just, like, I'm able to be the channel in clear, pure consciousness, but to hold the experience with loving tenderness from a human perspective. And to me, that is, I think that is my biggest offering as me, as like a human. Because I connected with people that are sometimes just far removed,
Mm.
far removed from the humanity of holding someone in this really intimate space. And I've also connected with people that are like, wow, this is incredible, but also haven't yet experienced any of the things that they're tapping into for me. And you could feel that energy as well, right? I want it all. So, like, I'm able to, like, I love to be able to give it all, even though some of my all has been.
I hear you on that. I hear you on that. And I think the all that's been some of the all that's been tough, that is where, we I think that's our great it does become our greatest gift when we are working with other people, because we can, we've done that inner work ourselves. And I do think that that's where we can have real integrity and authenticity as practitioners, is because we are human, to be able to know that the journey that other people are going on, and actually have that empathy of how someone might be feeling about opening up about something so intimate, because we've experienced something that might be different, but that kind of something that was a wound or that felt raw, and being able
Yeah.
to then bring that healing and that experience within us, as we hold the container, because
Yeah.
it all contributes to how we show up.
Right. And people love a hero story, right? That's why we watch these movies. We watch the rise from the ashes and the coming out on the other side. And it's the human experience, because they want to know that regular people, that, Joe Schmo, me, who no one knows, me walking down the street, actually has something to offer that is reflective of who they are.
So true. So
Yeah.
true. One of the questions that You may get asked a lot, I don't know, but I think it's a topic that people, if they haven't experienced it, might think, is it a real thing?
Mm.
Is around psychic attacks. And I think there can be a lot of myths around this. So I'd love to just invite you to speak to that for a moment so that our listeners can, the ones who have experienced it will be nodding along, going, yes, they are very real.
Yeah. And I think what people don't understand is they think psychic attacks may just be from like a being or an entity in your space. No, actually, a psychic attack could be from your best friend or, parent or loved one. And there's an intensity behind the emotion. And that's why it feels an attack because you're kind of hit by it.
Yeah.
And you're like, why am I sluggish? Why am I feeling sadness all of a sudden? Why am I feeling rage or anger, out of nowhere, seemingly? Like, how did this happen? How do I move through it? And oftentimes that is because it is a psychic attack, right? And it's important, especially if you do this work, especially if you are working with a practitioner, because now you've opened yourself up to a new channel. You're opening yourself up to new vibrations. So there are things that come in. With the light, there's always the shadow. So you have to clear yourself. You have to clear every day, probably a few times a day. You have to make sure that you're addressing them, and you have to, like, when that happens, instead of going straight to like wrongness, which is what people do, like, what did I do in this to feel this way, and making yourself wrong, actually open yourself up to looking at it from a curious observer perspective. Like, okay, let's get my intellect to stand up to the side and just pay attention to what's going on. And like, how is this happening? What's happening here? Is there anything that stands out or feels extra resonant that you need to pay attention to? And you got to clear it. You got to clear it. It might just be a simple prayer of asking spirit to clear me, cleanse me, release, transmute, dissolve, negate, give back to anything that doesn't belong to me. And to do so now, and you feel, golden light coming from the ethers, going through your soul star chakra, down to your crown, washing through your whole body and letting it release and clear you. Or it's maybe doing chakra alignments and going through each of your chakras, right? Maybe just allowing the emotions to subside, to move through, because they don't typically last long. And I'm telling you, they come out of nowhere.
They sure do.
I'm curious your thoughts on this, Louisa, as well.
Well, it's one of the things that, as you were talking, I was reflecting. The language that my clients will have heard me talk about is, "Are you in your own energy?"
Yes.
Um, when they're saying like, I'm feeling funky, I can't figure out what it is. They might use the language, I'm not feeling myself, which actually, if you ever catch yourself saying that, is an indication your subconscious is kind of going, yeah, you're not feeling yourself because you're not in your own energy. Some energy, big amount of energy, has come into your field, and you're picking up the sadness, you're feeling somebody else's sadness, anger, whatever it may be. But this is really important, not only for people's own well-being, but also for people's businesses.
Hmm.
Because if you're picking it up and you're bringing it into your business, so anybody can send a psychic. I feel like we need to rebrand psychic attacks, because
Yes.
let's
Yes.
do that.
Please.
That is the word, the phrase that people are familiar with, but it can be, if we kind of demystify it by saying, someone could be really jealous about, your business growth, for example, and project that jealousy onto you or onto your business. And so that is a psychic attack. If we think of
Yes.
everything is connected, and that energy, those blobs of energy have come along, and now they're, manifesting all sorts of stuff on your business or in your body, because your business shows up in your body as well. um, that this is something that is really key for people's prosperity and business success and well-being, is to recognize that these and particularly if you are empathic and you absorb other people's stuff, if someone else who subconsciously is not having a good time in business, you might decide to absorb their stuff, not consciously decide, but there is an energetic experience, and this is a psychic
Yeah.
attack again, where you've just picked it up, and that suddenly you're absorbing those emotions and manifesting what you don't want in your business.
Yeah.
Does that resonate?
Oh, totally. And I love it might just be that we need to rebrand it to, because psychic people think psychic that it must be another being entity. And it's no, it's the people walking in your everyday life. And we are most likely also projecting it to others with any kind of low vibrational ill intent, even if it's unconscious. If we get jealous that that person's doing great in their business, they have X, Y, Z clients, or they're on this fancy vacation that you want to be on, like just being clear with that. But I love the energy blobs. That might be what we need to rebrand it to. Energy blobs.
It
'Cause it
just
is
takes
that.
it is, the blobs of energy. And we've got big blobs of energy, we've got little blobs of energy. And I just
Yeah,
think it takes the power away from it. So we kind of know what
yeah,
we're dealing with, and we take our own power back and go, yeah, I can deal with a blob of energy.
yeah,
Whereas a
yeah.
psychic attack feels a bit more like, ooh,
Ugh,
do I
what is
need to
this?
have, yeah,
Yeah,
superpowers to
it
deal with
it
it.
isn't, like, this is what makes it so much more important. I love that we're talking about this, because we have to be really clear in our lights. We have to be really clear in our essence and what we are putting out and what we want to take in. We have to have intention around it. You have to be, yeah, you have to wake up with intention. There's a reason why you and me both, let's get clear, let's connect, let's tap in, let's ground before we do anything. We want to make sure we're clear. We want to make sure we have the intention that there's nothing coming at us while we do. It could be this podcast, it could be, a webinar that you're hosting, a retreat that you're doing, it could be a speech that you're giving at a wedding, it could be anything, but really tapping in, making sure what's yours, what's not is not. Don't make yourself wrong because you're feeling something that is outside of you, right? And is this mine? I don't feel like myself. Those are very good indicators. I actually think we both need to come up with an infographic, with what this is, because people mislabel and misunderstand it all the time.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think it can be, um, when we're misunderstanding it, then people do, or I'm saying people, we can fall into that default pattern of making ourselves wrong rather than actually just being curious. You spoke about being curious. Is this mine? Is this somebody else's? And then you can just so simply let it go. The moment that you know it's not yours, let it
Yeah,
go. And
yeah.
I receive messages in my body. I'm like a pincushion. And so if someone's got some, particularly when I'm in the Akashic Records, if someone's got a health condition, I will feel it in my body.
Yes.
It's very helpful when I'm in the Akashic Records because I know I'm reading somebody else's records. So I'm like, right, that's not mine. Just check it's not mine. It's not mine. It's theirs. Right, good. Then it goes out. It goes out of my body. I've got the message. I can share the message with them. It can be a bit more uh,
Yeah,
confusing, what used to be confusing before I realized this, around how you're picking up things across,
yeah.
um as you're walking about. You can pick up other people's stuff, which I'm just sharing that because I think it's a really good example for anybody who does have that similar sort of
Mhm.
clairsentience, where you're picking up things like that, is to recognize how you are picking things up without realizing it from
Yeah,
people, from those blobs of energy that we've been talking about.
especially if you're in a metropolitan city with surrounded by hundreds, thousands, millions of people, if you're living in New York and you're up and down the subway and you're passing through people, like you really got to put up your protective shields,
Yeah, those
you
psychic
know?
imprints when you're walking through different parts of, yes, in New York, you've got the, what do you call it? The metro. You've got the
Yes,
underground.
subway. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
subway. So we've got the
Yeah.
underground in London, and the underground in London. Woo, boy.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You can pick
You
up
know,
so many psychic imprints from there because of just walking through. You've got so many people who, of course, if they've been on a night out and they're drinking a whole load of alcohol, alcohol's weakening their auras, allowing all sorts of
yes.
things to get in, and we are just happily walking through. that
Yeah.
lovely murky soup. And then, without that intention, things can, be in your field to clear. Do people come to you, knowing that they need to have a clearing in relation to that, or does it come up in the readings?
Well, yes and no. So whatever is most pertinent in this energetic time, right, can come through. There might be something really more intense that needs to be addressed, right? I do have people that know, the more we talk about this, the more it's typically the clients that have worked with me already that are, that are familiar with what is available to them and how I work with them that are like, oh, yeah, I think there's a cord I need to cut. It doesn't typically happen like our first session. Like there's this chord that I'm feeling from this person, my ex, who I haven't thought about in forever, keeps popping up into my mind because he's corded into them, you
Yes.
know? So there is that happens as well. Like it's like, and I've had people be like, oh my God, we cut that cord and nothing, everything's like clear and good, haven't thought about them again, like forgot all about that, until that check-in. So, but there has to be an intention. Again, what's
Mhm.
most important, you have to intend to want to clear it. You have to intend to clear it. You have to intend to be aware to clear it, right? So knowing that, but yeah, you get a myriad of different types of things in this work, which is beautiful because it's all healing. It's
It
all
really
healing
is.
and it's all beautiful. And I love how this idea of energetics, right? This working with energy and applying it to business, applying it to real things that you're experiencing because energy is everything. Really, energy is everything. Energy is everything behind anything that we do. And so utilizing the energy to work in your favor is chef's kiss.
Yes, yes. This is it. We want our energy to do the heavy lifting so we can find it easier as we're navigating, doing all the getting to do the things that, are gonna, make our businesses grow. One of the things I talk about with my clients is, often people go, "Oh, the to-do list, it's getting so long, et cetera, et cetera." And I'm like, "Let's change that to-do list to a contribution list."
Mm.
Oh, because doesn't that just immediately the energy behind it is, "Yes, I wanna contribute. I don't wanna do stuff. That makes me feel tired." But I get to contribute, I immediately feel
Yeah.
energized. So instead,
Yeah.
get rid of the to-do list, have a contribution list.
I love that. It makes it the choice to then participate,
Mm.
you know? Yeah, and we forget that choice. We have that choice all the time. But staying present in our why, I think Simon Sinek says it well, but staying present in our why we do things, um, we come from a place, especially like solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, we do things because we're so excited and we believe in what we're going to put out there, right? And we go down and we dip and we feel these things energetically, but always holding that thread of why we're doing it and why is it important to us, then allows us to feel like we can contribute as
Mm.
opposed to just do. There we
Well, I
go.
I love it. We've rebranded psychic attacks to energy block. To-do list to contribution list.
We're getting so much done. I didn't realize this was going to be a productivity get together.
Productivity and psychic podcast.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Oh, there's so much to talk about. We'll have to get you to come back again, of course, as well. But I'd love just to wrap up. What would you say are the top 3 tips that you'd love to share with other entrepreneurs in business? Taking into account everything that we've talked about.
Yeah. So I think it's important, and this might be super obvious, but like you were talking about contributing as opposed to doing. I think getting organized, but being adaptable. Okay. So that means, yes, have your roadmaps, have your structures, have your business plans and your milestones in place because you want to define goals, you want to measure them. But I have learned sometimes a hard lesson to be more adaptable than I thought I needed to be, because there's divine orchestration in play. There's other factors that I may not have counted on to be in play. That could be the state of the economic environment, things like that, right? So just be organized, but be adaptable. That's one really important one and very obvious one. Um, Another one is to have grace, to
Mm.
really give yourself the utmost grace, because frankly, you just deserve it, and that's all. But sometimes you'll feel high energy, high vibe, and ready to take on the world, and you feel like you're killing it throughout your day, and you're just moving along, moving along. And sometimes you'll have dips and feel like it's really difficult to move and want to just lay in bed and feel defeated. And so to have the utmost grace, to come from and to have grace, I feel like you have to have gratitude. You have to
Mm.
have gratitude before you're able to get to the grace, so that's aligned with it. But also, to have that gratitude, that means you got to be present to where you're at. So grace, gratitude, presence, it's all aligned. Please have that for yourself, because as we all know, things aren't linear. You gotta move through that. And I think lastly is just really celebrating yourself, not with just the big, like seemingly impossible wins, but even like the mild accomplishments too. Because feeling yourself celebrate, like, okay, yeah, I checked off 3 things on my list today. That's pretty damn good. Like, go me, right? Like, you're able to still stay present. You're able to still recognize that, like, you have gratitude for where you're at. You're able to like make it more fun too as you go along. Stay in that high vibrational energy, because only in that place could more alignment, more prosperity, more abundance flow to you. So celebrate yourself, like you're doing a tremendous thing. It's very difficult in this day and age, when everybody seemingly has their own business and doing the same things, and social media is crazy and the world is in chaos, to be swept up in it. So celebrate not just the big accomplishments, but the mild ones as well.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, such wise words. Because I think otherwise we just keep pushing the accomplishments away because we're saying it's not quite big enough. It's not the big one that we were going for.
Right. Yeah.
We just amplify more of pushing it away. So yeah, so wise. Thank you so much. I know everyone's going to be thinking, how can I find out where in the world are you? How can they come and get into your world, Leilani? And I know you've got an incredible free gift as well. So do you want to tell us all the things?
Yeah, so you can find me at LeilaniLucero.com, Leilani, Lucero, Lucero.com. I'm on all the socials, as we all need to be in this day and age. Some are more active than others, like Instagram. So find me at I am Leilani Lucero on Instagram. Email me, Leilani at LeilaniLucero.com. Reach out to Louisa. Like, yeah, you can find me in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll pop all your links underneath the show notes as well. So people can come and find you. Thank you so much. And I know you have a wonderful free gift. Do you want to tell people a little bit
Well,
more?
actually, so there's a few things that are coming up on the website, but I have a discounted offering for you if you haven't yet had an Akashic Records reading with Louisa, or if you want to experience a different practitioner. Um, Please come see me. There's a discounted rate for $111. Oh, $111 for a 16-minute session. That's very, very small compared to the tremendous value that you will be receiving. And we can tap into so many things. This work is limitless. So yeah, please come see me. I'm your girl.
Yeah, it truly is limitless. So that's very, very generous. Thank you so much, Leilani.
Yes. Thank
And
you.
thank you so much for all your wisdom that you've shared and your heart you've shared with everybody. I know everyone will be absolutely loving our conversation. I hope you'll come back.
Yes. What if I just never leave?
I love
Thank
it.
you so much, Louisa. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you for being here. And thank you, everybody, for listening and joining us this week. Until next time, we'll see you very soon. Sending you all lots and lots of love. Thanks for listening to the Infinite Prosperity Podcast. And if you like what you've heard and want to know more, please go to louisahavers.com. We just appreciate you so much. So thank you for listening and hanging out with us. If there's anything that we can do for you, you can email us at louisa@louisahavers.com. Let my team know if you have any ideas for shows that you'd love to hear or topics you want me to talk about. Really looking forward to hearing from you. All right, that is it for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today. Looking forward to connecting with you again. Until next time, namaste.